Students and parents, I would like to welcome you to the new school year. I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce to you a new concept to East Jackson Middle School. This is not a new concept in education, but I'm going to introduce to you the idea of the flipped classroom. The presentation of how material is given throughout this year is going to be changing, and so this might be a new thing for people. So before, I want to take a few seconds actually to roll it out to you so that you have an idea of what is going to be in store for you or your student, depending on the case, throughout the year. First of all, what is the flipped classroom? And this is a very basic definition of a flipped classroom. Actually, let me do the traditional classroom first. Traditionally, if there is a new concept that is being taught in class, the teacher will stand in front of the room and give a lecture. After that lecture, there may be answer some questions, things like that, but after that lecture is done, the students will go home to do homework. Well, the flipped classroom reverses that process. The lecture is done at home through video. The work is done in school. And I want to get to the hows and whys and all that over the next few slides, and I'm going to try to go quickly. So, why? And one of the things, and I tried to do this, is our world is changing, and the 1950s model of education that has actually lasted for 100 years or so, even going back before the 1950s and so on, where it's only lecture, is not necessarily preparing our kids for the world that they live in. They live in a world of technology and information with the iPhones and iPads and iThises and iThats and so on. We need to, not that lecture at times is not important, but we need to start using these pieces of technology to help us teach our children. The other thing we have to understand is that the jobs that were available when I was going through high school and then college, those jobs that are available have changed. Here is even a list of jobs that did not exist, well, now 13 years ago. This is a Forbes magazine article from May of 2012. New jobs are coming online every day, and so are we preparing our kids, current middle schoolers, for jobs that will be available 10 years from now? Things that currently don't exist. And so we need to, I think, make adjustments to how we present material, how we learn material, and so on, to meet this modern world that we live in. So, as I said, and we're going to talk, I'm going to try to go quickly through some benefits of the flipped classroom. We're going to use video to do the lecture materials. So students at home will watch the lectures instead of having me lecture here in class. The benefit to that, obviously, since it's done through video, is the ability to pause and rewind. So if a student who in class may have missed the material, maybe didn't hear me say it or whatever, can go ahead and they can pause Mr. Smith, they can rewind Mr. Smith, and they can listen to Mr. Smith again. Or even if we're preparing for a test or a quiz, if they want to go back and they want to hear that information again, the day before they take a test or a quiz or something like that, they can go back and they can listen to Mr. Smith give the lecture over again and use it where obviously once the lecture is done, it's done and they can't see it again. The other part of flipping the classroom and being able to do the homework in class is to take care of some of the student and parent frustration. The number of times that I've been in parent-teacher conferences and have parents tell me that they can't help their kids, I hear it every year. So if they're now doing the work in class, that's where I'm at, and I'm present in class, and so I can help them where a parent may not be able to help them. And this also, not having all the lecture time in class, gives me a chance for more one-on-one time. I can go around and I can get a chance to see each kid more individually. Should allow for more time for project-based learning and so on. And the other really big thing that I'm excited about is how dealing with absences. In the traditional model, if a kid misses class on a given day where I'm giving a lecture, they miss the lecture, they miss all that information and so on. Doing the lectures through video and posting those videos, a kid who is absent can go back and watch that lecture. They can see the video, they can hear the information, And so being absent, they're not really absent. They can still get that material. So what's going to happen? So the homework now is to watch a video, or at least generally the homework will be for a student to watch a video. And we will do these videos through a program, an online program called Edpuzzle, which I will get them all set up onto Edpuzzle. So they will watch the video, they will hear me speak throughout the video at times, and they will be taking notes as they go along. They will be required to write the information down and so on, just like if they were in class. The other nice thing about Edpuzzle that I really like is I can embed quiz questions as the video goes along. So you'll notice here this particular video, which this is just a screenshot, is moving along. When it gets to this little green arrow, or little green box, that will be a question or two. The kids will then have to answer based on the information that they heard and saw and the notes they took. Then once that's done, they'll hit play again, and it'll move them along to the next one, and there's another question they will be able to, that they'll need to answer, and so on. So they'll be answering these questions as they move through the video, which then reports back to me. And so so they've watched this, say, on a Tuesday night. Well, Wednesday morning when I come into school, I will have a printout, which here's my name, and because I watched this video and I did the work and so on. But I will have a list of all of my kids, and I will see whether they watched the video, how well they did on questions, and so on. And so that will help me to frame the discussion for the next day. If I see that the kids did well on question 1, 2, 3, and 4, but they had issues with question number 5, well, that's one thing that easily in class I can take a few minutes to then discuss question number 5, answer questions, and so on. And but it won't take an entire lecture because they've already seen the lecture. It will save us time in class to deal with more things. The other thing they're going to have to do is what I call at the very end, the very last little green box, is what a CDE question. So at the end of every video, the very last question will be, what is your CDE video? So they'll have to ask a question. They'll be required to ask a question or give an example. So for students, for one, if they still don't understand a concept, they will ask me a question and explain to me that they are confused on a concept and so on. So, Mr. Smith, I don't understand about this thing, whatever this is. They will answer, they will type that question into Edpuzzle. Or they will form a discussion question, which this is where they think like a teacher and ask a question, like a deeper knowledge question that we in class could explore. Or they need to come up with an example. And so they come up with their own example similar to the concepts, and then they solve it for us, for me. And those questions, these CDE questions, also show up in the printout, not in this particular view. And so the next day, again, if I gave this particular assignment on a Tuesday night, this lecture, on Wednesday, I can go through their CDE questions before they walk in the door, and if I'm seeing questions over and over again about certain concepts, I can answer those concepts, and I know ahead of time when they walk in class. With this new structure, we're going to be dealing with a couple other things a little bit differently too. And one is the students are going to be earning their right to take a test. So we do Chapter 1, we get to the end of Chapter 1. A student, if they're going to be or take the test, one, all assignments must be complete for that chapter. If they're missing an assignment or something like that, they're not going to be allowed to take the test with all of the other students. Okay, they will be working on the work that they missed or something like that. But that does mean that they're going to have to make a time or find a make-up time before or after school to take the test once they get the information complete. Okay, that is a different change in the model of education that many people are used to. And again, it's sort of in many ways in a job. Here's the work that you have to do. Here's payday. Well, in this case, payday is the ability to take a test. And so in order to have that right, they must complete assignments and so A couple other things that go along with this one. We're not going to be having a textbook anymore. We're going to be building our own textbook, and so that means the students will need a binder, a math-only binder, not a binder that they share with 4 other classes. They are going to need it. I would recommend at least an inch, at least an inch and a half thick, probably. It will need to have 4 sections in it. Part of the reason that is with the videos always being available for students to go back and always look at. It's the same information that would be in a textbook anyway. So they'll, and with their math binders, they'll be carrying the information around. I do recommend that students have earbuds to use here in class and at home. That's just one thing I would recommend they do. Things that are required of parents. And just so you know, one is find a way for students to view videos. They can use the internet at home. Edpuzzle works on smartphones. If those 2 things don't work, we need to find a way to get the kids to school early so that they can come into class and watch the video here on the, if they come in, most of the students get here 20-30 minutes ahead of time anyway. When their buses get here, they can come in and watch a Chromebook. At home, have a good place and time for the kids to watch the video and to take notes, a place where there are not really any distractions. And please make sure that they watch the videos. That is important. Now, how can you stay on top of those things? One of the things that I use to help students and parents parents and students keep up with the assignments is Remind. And for students, this is the 7th grade information, but if you would like to receive a text of the assignment that I have given for a day, you will text this message right here to this number if you would like to be added to the 7th grade math list. So when I give an assignment, for example, watch the lesson 1-2 video and take notes, I hit Remind. It sends a text out to everybody on that list. For students who are in pre-algebra, this is still the number. It's still 81010, but you text at F051F7, and that will add you to the pre-algebra list. And you can get those reminders when those are sent out. Usually I try to do it at about 2:35 every day, so that the students, when they go to their locker, have it on their phone. Those who have phones, have it on their phone. Last thing I want to show you, or second to last thing, here is some research that supports the use of the flipped classroom. So if you want more information on how and why the flipped classroom, here are 10 articles in which you can feel free to look up. Or if you Google flipped classroom, you will get thousands of returns. So if you have any further questions, here is my email. Usually email is the best way to get a hold of me at school. Typically in a normal day, my email is on at my desk, and so for me to return a quick email, a lot of times it's usually the quickest way, at least, to get back to me. We will be figuring some of this stuff out as we go along. It is a new concept for me as well, but if you do have any more questions, feel free to ask. Good luck, thank you, and if you have questions, let me know.